Here's 5 EDC mistakes that you are making that you should probably fix in order to continue to have a purpose-built everyday carry. Number 1, you're carrying too much crap, too much gear, too much stuff, whatever noun you want to replace to use that description, feel free. But I'm very confident that you probably don't need that personal water filtration kit that you've been carrying for the last 6.5 years, unless you're in a rural area or you're in the wilderness. But if you're in the urban concrete jungle, yeah, you're probably not going to have any issues when it comes to personal water filtration. Why do you have 6 knives? Why are you carrying 2 tarps? For what reason do you have a knife sharpener with you on hand? Are you going to be gone that long? Do you use your knife that much? You're carrying entirely too much pieces of gear to the point where you probably don't even know what gear you do and do not have. When you start to carry too much of something, you have an overabundance of something. Next thing you know, you actually begin to duplicate efforts because you're carrying too much of something. You probably can scale back, just, peel back the onion a little bit when it comes to the amount of gear that you're carrying. This comes from a guy that literally has EDC videos, whether it be for my truck or for my person, where I carry a lot of stuff. But you know what? Once I determine something is no longer a part of my carry, needs to be upgraded in my carry, it's an overabundance in my carry, it gets the axe, it gets scratched out. Hopefully you're doing the same thing. Number 2, you have more blade steel than you really need. More blade steel than you really need means that you probably overspent for that knife. To be honest with you, Magna Cut, S30V, Damasteel, Damascus, all that stuff just makes me want to bust. I get it. Oh my God, just calm down. I understand it. But you know what? You really do not need more than D2. Come at me, bro. Let me explain why. D2 is relatively easy to sharpen. It has decent edge retention. It's kind of right in the middle of the totem pole, where if we kind of look at it in a spectrum where, on this side is, maybe your super budget type stuff, and then on this side is your super high end, then D2 is probably the beginning of the high end mid grade. It is not high end. It is not super high, but it's not totally budget. It's all about the way it's heated and it's sharpened, etc., etc. D2 is going to be something that you at home, the peasant, can learn how to sharpen yourselves. D2 is something that you at home would be able to make sure has a good level of edge retention. D2 is something that you at home, the peasant, won't have to worry about corrosion. You're probably carrying too much blade steel. You just dial it back a little bit. I know it can be impressive. I am guilty of that. Literally, the blade that I'm carrying today is a S35 VN blade. I like it a lot, but do I need this much? Absolutely not. Next on the list, you are not checking your gear periodically. Periodically, what does that mean for you? Once a quarter, once a year, once every 6 months, weekly? How much crap do you carry? How often do you check it? You probably have no clue that the batteries in that flashlight are out, need to be charged, need to be replaced, have corroded. You probably have no clue that you already have 3 bandsaws in the back of your truck and you don't need to get another one. You probably have absolutely no clue that your get home bag or your bug out bag are in the wrong places and they need to be swapped out. Make sure you got fuel in those lighters. Make sure that your waterproof matches are not wet. Make sure that when you spent your emergency cash on those Scooby snacks in that vending machine, that you actually took the time out to replace the emergency cash. Guilty. I've done that a time or two, but you want to ensure that your gear is always at a level of readiness, whether it is for everyday carry or it is for prep. You should always be ready. You should always be checking your gear. The next one is pretty self-explanatory. I've talked about it on a number of videos, but you're buying overpriced gear, whether you're buying expensive Nux or you are buying expensive pocket trash, you're buying an excess of items, you're spending money on stuff that you don't necessarily need. Ignore this clock that's on my desk. We won't talk about that. Overpriced items does not mean that you're getting more value Find that sweet spot for quality and make that purchase. If you want a good high quality multi-tool, maybe you don't need to spend the entire bag on a Leatherman. Maybe you don't need all of that. Maybe you'll get away with a true multi-tool, some type of lower end Gerber, some no-name multi-tool. Just because you spent a hefty penny on it does not mean that you're getting better performance out of that piece of gear. Kind of goes back to my argument when it comes to overspending on blade steel. Are you going to get any more action, any more performance out of anything that you purchase just because you spent more on it? Not necessarily. It's not like a high-end Lamborghini where, hey, listen, I spent almost $1 million on this thing. I'm going to be able to run a 40 way faster than my Toyota Corolla. That's not how apples and oranges work, for example, with something like an emergency radio. You spend more money on a nice high-quality Midland, like something I would do. That doesn't mean I'm going to receive FM, AM, or emergency weather bands any better than you are on some no-name Amazon Chinese brand. Well, maybe it will. Every single scenario is not always apples to apples. Make sure that if you're going to buy something, let's just make sure you're not getting strung over the coals. You're not buying overpriced gear. You already are. That's why it's one of the mistakes that you're making. This last one, which I am unsure, other than in tech YouTube, I have no clue when it comes to the everyday carry community, myself to be blamed also from time to time. Why do you not consider your phone a part of your EDC? Your everyday carry should involve your phone. In 2023, this is not 2002. This is 1908. This is not 1982. In this year, yes, your phone is a part of your EDC. You can download survival apps that can be used in offline mode. You can use maps in offline mode. You can have first aid apps. You're going to be able to use it as a signaling mirror just in case you ever need it. Also, it has a flashlight, albeit it's really crappy. A phone is a part of your EDC, and you should also ensure that it's something that you take care of. Check that piece of gear. How many times if you charge that battery, will it not last for at least 6 or 7 hours, throughout the day? You should use that. It should be considered as a capable part of your EDC. Otherwise, you're completely doing it wrong. This is a bonus item for you. One of the mistakes you're making in your EDC is that you're running your grape. You're running your suck. You're running your freaking mouth. Listen, I know we're very proud of our EDC. The more that we put into it, the more that we want to talk about it. The reason I don't like to be pocket checked is because it comes to when someone knows what you have, a few things may happen. Number one, they always want to borrow your crap. And sometimes they borrow your crap and it becomes their crap. Sort of like a paint sprayer I got sitting outside my house. I borrowed it and I don't know where that guy is, but now I have 2 paint sprayers. Number two, sometimes things are highly peripherable. You talk about it a lot. People come over to your neck of the woods and next thing you know, items have grown legs and you are suffering a level of shrinkage. No, not that type of shrinkage. You're suffering a level of shrinkage inside of your own home, which makes absolutely no sense. Keep your mouth closed about your EDC stuff. I know we love it. You want to talk about it. We're all Benchmade, Apple, Spider Code Sheet, ProTech, whatever the case may be. Just avoid talking about it too much because, people do keep their eye on you. Listen, if you got value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button down below. That just lets everybody know that this should be shared on YouTube with other folks. Also, consider hitting that super thanks button down below to show support for the channel, and it's super well appreciated. Or just stick around and listen to what my sponsor, HipaStore.com, has to say. HipaStore.com, it's your one-stop shop for all your lawn type equipment, your generators, all that type of stuff to make us DIY weekend warriors, for which I am one. Go to HipaStore.com. You're going to be able to find any of those consumable or parts that break on your generators or your DIY lawn equipment. Don't throw it out. It may be old, it may be rusted, it may be gifted to you. HipaStore.com may have the part that you need for that weed whacker, that chainsaw, that lawnmower, whatever. Check them out down below. The link is in the description. Hopefully you can find something to resurrect that piece of lawn equipment that you thought needed to be thrown away, kind of sort of like I did on a chainsaw and an edger that I recently had. They're back in my life and I feel so good. Shout out to Hipa Store for sponsoring this video. Listen, guys, I'm telling you, do not make a mistake when it comes to your EDC items. You will thank me later. I think that's all I got. I got to finish this stick. You can stick around if you like. Actually, no, it's time for you to go. We'll speak soon.